So there is a very interesting situation in WWE at the moment, and given that it did just pop into my brain, I was like, well, we do have a YouTube channel, we should talk about it. It all kind of ties into WrestleMania 41. Now, before we get anywhere, not saying it's bad, not saying it's good, just saying it's something that I've picked up on. You can let me know in the comments what you think. A bunch of people either walked away with a championship, or they won a brand new title at that grandest stage of them all, granddaddy event, up the nines, let's put it up, you took us, and all that kind of nonsense. And maybe the follow-up isn't exactly all that we thought that it could be, and there are some outliers to this, but essentially I'm going to give you a list of names. Excuse my eyes, but I don't want to miss anybody. But Io Sky obviously walked away as the Raw Women's Champion. Tiffany Stratton walked away as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I mean, she already had it, but she defended that championship. Jake Fatu won the US title. Dominic Mysterio won the IC title. The New Day won the tag team titles on Raw. Zelina Vega only a few weeks ago won the Women's US Championship. Jake Fatu is there twice for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing. And Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan had all the fun in the world with Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. And then do you know what happened to 75%, if not all of these people? Nothing. That's right, absolutely nothing. Let us start with the exceptions to the rule, one of which I am giving, but I think it's on the precipice, which is Io Sky. Because fair enough, it's quite clear that it was meant to be Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, but very sadly Liv Morgan got injured a couple of weeks ago. I hope she's okay. But we are talking about this in June. If we come right out of WrestleMania, Io Sky was teasing something with Rhea Ripley, she was doing stuff with Julia, and she was doing stuff with Roxanne Perez, who of course are making their way up to the main roster as well. And then since then, we have done a whole lot of nothing. Now, I get it's going to happen with some championships and just with some WWE superstars. You can't help it. Well, I think that's kind of giving you a get-out-of-jail-free card. But I can understand if every now and then you drop the ball with someone and the fans pick up on it and like, this doesn't really make any sense. But I would argue that it goes for all these people we're going to talk about today, and I find that very, very strange. Now, Jake Fatu is another guy. I think we said this on the Night of Champions predictions video, but he's not defended it at all. He had that crazy four-way, then he fell out with Damian Priest, saying, I'm coming after that title, then Damian Priest didn't, and then somebody decided, right, we should go full in with the Jake Fatu and Solo Sikoa feud, which I have no problem with. I'm recording this on the Wednesday before Night of Champions. I still kind of think that will go through SummerSlam, maybe even change the belt a little bit to have more fun with it. I assume we'll see Hikuleo as well. But there was no follow-up with LA Knight, which you could argue could have been a one and done, apart from that four-way again. But that kind of went to the wayside. The Damian Priest thing went to the wayside. Drew McIntyre obviously got injured. But even by that point, Drew McIntyre had spiraled back off into his feud with Drew McIntyre. No, with Damian Priest. He's not fighting himself. It's not SummerSlam 1994 or a Zelda boss. If you notice that in the old school Zelda games, you have to fight yourself, Link. Why? Why do I have to fight myself? I don't want to. But it's true. Like, there isn't really been a plan. That's what I'm looking for here. There was not really a plan for Io Sky, or it didn't feel like it to me until we got to June, and it didn't really feel like there was a plan for Jake Fatu in winning those championships, which is kind of bizarre because of the last few years, especially when it comes to the mid-card titles, the IC in the US. Triple H seems to have made that a pet project of his, but that's when we bring in Dominic Mysterio. Now, Dominic Mysterio winning that four-way at WrestleMania was brilliant. That is a WrestleMania moment, which is always going to be better because we didn't fabricate it. Nobody knew it was going to come. It became a WrestleMania moment after the fact, as opposed to what we do a lot in the modern day, which is people sit down in a room, go, how do we make a WrestleMania moment? Like, that's a Lego thing. You can get the Lego Millennium Falcon, a Lego, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, whatever, Hoopspa with a big Sauron eye, and then you can get Lego WrestleMania moment. I shouldn't have said that, because at the moment, have you seen those tables? Have you seen the ring canvas? They will definitely do it. But ever since then, I understand the tease has been it's going to be him versus Finn Balor. Judgment Day are going to break up, and that's great, but the belt isn't being defended. Like, he defended against Pentagon, he defended against Octagon Jr., which was made and finished on the same day, I'll have you know. It also ties into this incredible, I suppose, conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory, but this incredible realization that somebody had on the internet that Dominic Mysterio will only defend that title against shapes. Again, a pentagon, an octagon. So if your name is hexagon, you should get in there. Circle, what the hell are you doing? Rhomboid, rectangle, square, where the flub is square, triangle with your hypotenuse and all of that. But it's another one, right? And again, I can understand Dominic Mysterio being the heel, kind of becoming a face that backs off and does all this stuff with Liv Morgan. But then I went, well, that's kind of what we did with Jacob Fatu. Like I said, a random four-way. It's definitely what we've done with Io Sky. And even if her direction was Liv Morgan, like I say, it took us 3 months to get there. That's not right at all. 2 months to get there, which is also a bit strange, which brings us on to Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton defended her championship against Charlotte Flair. I watched it back before this video. They just kick the crap out of each other, man. It feels to be like a very divisive match. I like it a lot. But then Nothing. In fact, what she did was she kept going back to the well with Nia Jax. Now, listen, I think Nia Jax is underrated. I think Nia Jax is the best version of Nia Jax ever, which makes no sense, but nobody could do a Nia Jax match like a Nia Jax match. And I don't know how much I agree with this, because if you're over with the fans, you're getting cheered, you are a babyface. But the Tiffany Stratton character is a bit weird, because she kind of acts like a heel, but she gets cheered, so that when she is sort of taking on proper heels, it's all a very bit convoluted and a bit weird. But to go back to that Nia Jax program again twice so far, we've gone back to it, just makes you go, well, this is kind of weird. And if we're trying to elevate championships, which we have done with the men's WWE title and the men's World Heavyweight title, I would actually argue the men's World Heavyweight title has been the best booked coming out of WrestleMania, because we had everything with Jay, which caused conversation, which can tie into this. It makes it interesting, right? It makes it intriguing. It makes it a talking point. All the stuff with Gunther, all the defenses that he did have, when people are like, he's going to lose, then he did lose it really quickly. I actually think benefited that title compared to Tiffany Stratton, who's kind of been hanging out, playing Nintendo, telling Naomi, you better not cash in on me. I mean, that was her whole pre-Money in the Bank build. If you win, don't cash on me. If you win, don't cash in on me. You don't want to cash in on me, which is kind of what Io Sky was doing as well. And then you bring in the New Day, who also won those championships. They had a bizarre feud with the Creeds and the Viking Raiders, whatever we're calling them these days, the War Raiders, who would win and then lose, but then still get shots based on disqualifications. Then they just vanished, right? The Creeds became, I can't believe Chad Gable's being mean behind us, behind our back, or they don't even know it yet. Don't know where the Vikings went. They just went home to have a cup of tea. And we then did get to Finn Balor and JD McDonough taking on the New Day, but essentially based on conversations that were happening in the corner. The same with the Grayson Waller-Austin Theory thing. On the most recent episode of Raw, Grayson Waller is now seemingly in board with the New Day. There was no big angle. There was no big promo. I don't know how Austin Theory thinks about this. So once again, it's just kind of like, why on earth do we have a team like the New Day, who are some of the most entertaining people you have on the roster with championship belts, but it feels like we've relegated them. It feels like they're paying second fiddle. And that also comes at the back of WrestleMania. And the Zelina Vega one obviously wasn't WrestleMania related, but Chelsea Green had it. And even Chelsea Green said, well, I don't think the fans wanted to see much more of me versus Zelina in the feud. So we didn't see anything. You kind of had a few words with each other backstage, and you had the match. And Zelina Vega won it. You had another match with Piper Niven and Alba Fire. And then Julia kind of attacked you. You then promised us the next week you were going to say something, and you didn't. So you said it'd be the next week, and then you didn't. And now this week they're just having the match, and I bet you all my hair that Julia wins that one. So we've exchanged it once again, really based on nothing. Now listen, if you're still enjoying it and you're still entertained by it, you won, right? You win. There's nothing I can do about that. And I'm certainly not finding it boring, and I'm certainly not a bit like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. It's still enjoyable television, but I feel like there's more we can do with it, especially when you kind of get into the titles that are being used and the stories we are telling. It's like we have 3 hours of SmackDown. You know how I feel about that. Raw seemingly can be however long you want, so it kind of feels funny to me that we're not trying to do more with it. Take Dominic Mysterio again. I get that the end game is Finn Balor. I get that the end game is the Judgment Day, but can't there be someone like a Pentagon that kind of like taps away a little bit more that he has been doing? He worms in there, and that's how you kind of tell the story, which is what we did do, right? Remember Finn Balor was out there and took 72 years to throw a chair in the ring? But then we kind of left all that behind. And the Judgment Day can probably have an asterisk because Liv Morgan did go, but that was like June the 14th, right? And WrestleMania was like April the 20th. And the Liv Morgan Raquel Rodriguez one I find baffling. When they beat Bianca Belair and Naomi for those titles, my gosh, it was a great match. It felt exciting. Raquel and Liv had great chemistry together. I liked all the madness of WrestleMania. I'm a Dr. Robotnik fan. Give me that chaos. Obviously, they lose to Becky Lynch and Lara, then they win it back 24 hours later. You could do it with those kind of titles because I actually think, as we've seen over the last 4 months, less is more is not the case. It's more is more. Just give me anything you can have. It also tied into the Becky Lynch Lara Valkyria feud, which is cool. It brought back Bayley eventually. But then Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez did nothing with them. Now, of course, I'm talking about the individual people here. They don't book the show. There's nothing they can do. They're talented folk, but they have to have the stories in order to get away with it. But Raquel Rodriguez, I think, tried to get in Queen of the Ring and Money in the Bank, and Liv Morgan was doing the same. And, of course, we've already talked about the fact that Liv Morgan was going to go after Io Sky. There were rumors at Evolution it was going to be Liv and Raquel taking on the Bellas. Were the Bellas going to win the tag team titles? Would we want that? Was the championship even going to be on the line? Nobody has talked about them for months, and then again, not her fault. You have Raquel on Raw going, well, Liv Morgan's going to win. I'm a bit worried someone's going to take my tag team title away. Now, this is where the good stuff comes in. I never want anyone to get hurt. But if we can move Roxanne Perez into the Naomi position when she took over from Jade Cargill, so we do have sort of history here to prove that we can do this, we absolutely can capitalize on that one. And I think that we should. And I think that we should probably make Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss a tag team and just have them go at it, right? And that sounds crazy, but if they are not entering the Tiffany Stratton sphere to fight for that championship and they have legit star power, let's copy and paste this across the whole division, because someone like Charlotte Flair especially is going to be like, well, if I'm being used, I want to be featured. And that's just a really interesting match. It's going to elevate anyone. It's going to elevate those titles. Let's get to Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor. Dominic Mysterio can win. Dominic Mysterio can lose. Who the flub cares? Not everything has to be a giant title reign. I think sometimes that's what WWE feels like they're doing. It's like, we can't do it now because we want Dominic Mysterio to keep that belt. We don't want to beat Finn. Then they go to the whole distraction, interference, and confusion stuff, which can be overdone, but also can be a fine wrestling trope. I mean, trope has a negative connotation to it, but you can use it. It's a stereotype. It's like when you watch a movie, right? Sometimes they just fall back on things that they know work. You just don't want to overdo it because that's when it gets bad. But when the equivalent is, not the equivalent, when the alternative is, we're just not going to defend it at all, people are just walking around with titles. This may actually tie into the bigger problem that all companies, every single company under the sun, has too many championships. And when you have so many championships, and yet somehow we get to 9 champions and only 2 belts are being defended, different video for a different day, it does water it down, and maybe it actually shines a spotlight on it more. Because if the story was just Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor, well, you could take your time and you could have it play out in backstage segments. But when you throw a championship in there, you're like, why are you not defending this? This is before Dominic got injured, whether that's storyline or not. You're just not defending it, again, apart from random, Worlds Collide into Money in the Bank shows. Like, shouldn't Adam Pearce be booking this? Shouldn't Nick Aldis be booking this? And of course, we're treating this in kayfabe. But I think it's important. Tiffany Stratton could surely be in a place to say, Nia Jax, you're never allowed to go after this again. Now, I'm sure Nia Jax is being used as a story prop here in many ways, because when Naomi does cash in, it will be due to Nia Jax. But let's say that happens at SummerSlam, which is in August. That is May, June, July, August, 4 months, and Tiffany Stratton hasn't had one proper feud coming off a win, well, apart from Nia Jax, you know what I'm saying here, apart from a big win over Charlotte Flair. Just think we need to capitalize on this stuff more. And Jacob Fatu, I suppose, was lucky because he had that proper babyface turn at WrestleMania, Money in the Bank. So his momentum kind of feels like it continues. And he's such a badass. Anytime he is in the ring, I think he's able to get himself over. But there are other people that aren't afforded those kind of luxuries, which when we go back to the New Day, when we go back to a Zelina Vega. If Zelina Vega does indeed lose that championship on the 27th of June, in case you're watching this afterwards and you already know, you've Back to the Futured it, what would anybody even say about her title reign? And it's not her fault. We just didn't do anything with it. We had sort of one skit of her saying, Nick Aldis, I want to talk to Julia. We'll do it next week. And it didn't happen. Then we get to the match. Why did Julia take out Zelina Vega after that match? She had the hardcore match. I presume it was with Chelsea Green, or maybe it was Piper Niven. I can't remember now. Julia came down. She wiped out Chelsea's Her Secret Hervis, and then knocked the absolute crap out of Zelina Vega, and nobody told us why. Slap your head. It's so hot in here. I don't want to touch my head. I'm a sweaty mess. So it feels weird to me. It feels like WWE has accidentally fallen into a pattern, and it's not like they're doing this all over the place. Again, say what you want about the John Cena turn, but he's made that championship the center poise, the 17th win, record-breaking, the GOAT, the best of all time. So it's completely part of everything that he does. Randy wants it. He talks about it. Sami Zayn wants it. He talks about it. Jey Uso, obviously, all these people. Gunther on the World Heavyweight Championship and everything he did with Jey, I have found incredibly interesting. Like, I really, really have. And then you have Jey and Cody fighting in the semifinals of the King of the Ring, saying, I need to win that belt back, I need to win that belt back, which really elevates it. The Becky Lynch stuff has been brilliant. And Lyra Valkyria and Bayley have to sort of be dragged into there as well. That belt doesn't feel like a prop to me at the moment. That belt feels like it means something, and these people want it. And Becky Lynch is desperate to hold on to it because she's paranoid, and she's got all these things in her brain. And what I'm hoping happens is at SummerSlam, Lyra wins it, Bayley and Becky can spin off into a personal feud without a championship, and let's take a Stephanie Vaquer, let's take a Roxanne Perez, let's take some people that I'm forgetting now, and Ivy Nile, let's throw it into that mix and make sure everybody is built up here. And in terms of the New Day, we just need new teams. Like, even if Finn Balor and JD McDonagh win, well then what? The New Day then take them on again? I just think you have incredibly talented people here. And it's mad to me because, again, the switch there, I just realized I got off track, is the SmackDown Tag Team division, which is in way better shape and anybody could win. And it's super duper interesting, and the stories and the Wyatts turn up. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. it, and all of the things like this. So we have been doing it. It's not like you have to act like all these championships are not being treated in the right way. They most definitely are, but there is a big lump of them which just kind of feel thrown into the water. I would put Io Sky in there as well. Like, I just would. I understand more things have happened, and why did Rhea Ripley all of a sudden not go after it after they looked at each other and they kind of, tore away at the damn thing? I understand she tried to get there via Money in the Bank. I don't mind her doing a Raquel Rodriguez feud because those two have great chemistry and it'd be a big women slapping woman meat match. But once again, I think it comes down to this idea that maybe there weren't set plans for these championships and we're coming to them after the fact, which seems mad for me. When again, WWE title really good, World Heavyweight title really good, the Women's IC title, which still blows my brain because they did nothing of that for months, is really, really good, and the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which also seems crazy to me to throw in there, but it means that it's the few titles that are outweighing the majority. Because if we go everything I got on my screen minus one, because Jacob is there twice, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 championships, and you got the Speed title, though nobody cares about that. But I just find it very, very interesting. And you may disagree with me. You may be like, no, Simon, we don't want these defended all the time. But I understand the top title's not being defended all the time, and it's not like we have a television title. But I just think someone like Dominic Mysterio should be out there, winning however you want him to win for his character. Jake of 2, again, I kind of put him lesser down because the solo stuff I find so interesting, and I do think it's heightening and increasing everybody's level, which is what it should do. Then Zelina Vega don't get it, Kelly Liv don't get it, Tiffany Stratton really don't get that one. Io Sky, again, I'm kind of 50-50 with, and the New Day is the big one. You have the New Day, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, walking around there with those belts, and they just have no challenges, apart from people they just keep going back and forth with. That WrestleMania match against the Viking Raiders, I thought it was okay for what it was. Sort of is the issue of when they turned heel back in November or December. We should have jumped on this instantly, and then we just didn't do anything. And then I started to realize, man, it's happening with a lot of these titles. So maybe it is just too many championships. If you actually sat down and thought, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, you lose the personal beef. Because Damian Priest, even though he said he was going to go after the US title, it didn't really want to after that. I'm sure we'll get back to it eventually, but then there was Ron Killings who did the same. Obviously, Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez are off doing their own thing, as are a lot of other people, like Stephanie Vaquer, and I guess Julia's going after the US title now. But yes, I don't like to call it a problem, because that's going too far, but I think it's grown, and I think it's something that is way more obvious than it was, say, a year ago. Because when I think about a year ago, I think about the awesome reign that Gunther had as the Intercontinental Champion, which was probably 2 years ago. LA Knight's US title reign was a bit all over the place, but I felt like it was always heading somewhere and people were going after it. The women's tag team titles, I mean, where do you even begin? And I think the men's Raw tag team titles have been in a bad position to begin with, but that's why I think we should shove them together again. The tag team scene in WWE right now, where the champions could go from Raw to SmackDown, would just elevate to such a degree, then you wouldn't have to worry about throwing teams on Raw, because all of these teams, the New Day being interact with the Street Profits or DIY or the Motor City Machine Guns. How are we not getting that, right? Sometimes I'm like, that's on paper. I know the New Day and Street Profits are for all the time, but it's got to the point where I think the Usos should get back together. Again, they're teams that I've seen fight time and time again, but not this brand new WWE. And Jey Uso is so over. I don't think it's the right time to do anything with him and Jimmy Uso right now, especially because Jimmy Uso has the cool stuff with the bloodline as well. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed probably need to have a championship run. I mean, they probably need to be the guys, but they're also meant to be heels. And I don't mind heels taking on heels, but you then have to decide, well, who are we trying to get more over here? And I still don't think that's making good use of the New Day, because they're hilarious and they should be featured in a better position before it's Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed that come to get them. But WWE hasn't even hinted that they are going to be tag team wrestlers. So if that does happen, I don't think it's on the agenda right now, because I think we would have been bigging that more up in promos. So just find the whole thing really fascinating, really interesting. And on a Wednesday, I like to do more editorialized type videos if you do care. And that's where we are. So definitely drop me a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Have I gone crazy? Have I gone nuts? Or actually, if you do take a step back and sort of do a deep dive into these championships, could we do more? And I want to make it clear it's the same across every single championship reign right now. Sorry, every single promotion right now. But this does tie into WrestleMania, where it felt like, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to have some surprises here. And it kind of felt like we went until SummerSlam, which seems mad to me. And listen, we had so many things that we could have got done. So maybe that is one of the reasons, like Money in the Bank obviously is a gimmick, and the King and Queen of the Ring is a gimmick, which allows you to have title programs without actually having personal beef feuds that are heading in that direction. But I think they should have been there already. It's why Backlash, quite literally, and don't get me wrong, they used to drop the ball on this too, back in the day, here and there. But that's what Backlash was for. So we did Io Sky versus Bianca versus Rhea. Well, we'll do Rhea versus Io. Bianca was injured. But we'll get back to it straight away, because we just took the WrestleMania WrestleMania things, we carried them on for this very reason. Again, that's a bit redundant, but this one feels a bit more wishy-washy, but that's what the comments are for. Let me know. Otherwise, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video on the screen. That will be me talking about Raw and how the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes feud is coming, and I'm super duper pumped. Please click that notification bell, especially if you're on mobile. It helps so much. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316, only $5. Come join the watch-alongs, the podcast, the questions, and everything else we do. Make sure you go to goodonline.com/Simon. You just go to Simon, get 10% off. Just check it out if you're into fitness. It ships worldwide and it is the best. Simon316 on all social media. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon on Cameo for personalized video messages. Done some really quite emotional ones recently, which I wasn't expecting, but that's fine by me. And Big Cartel and Pro Wrestling tees for merchandise. I now have to stop this video. It's so hot in my house. If you do care, I'm having some sewage works done outside because the whole row of houses has been totally destroyed. My life is nuts. But anyway, I need to open a window, which I can't do because random people will hear me shouting at you. And they probably don't like wrestling. They're like, why is this man talking about title belts? Is he a child? The answer is yes. I'm also bald. Take care, my friends. See you soon.